And we're live! Welcome to RockSim Live. My name is Tim Van Milligan. This is a special edition. It's episode number 199. The reason we're doing a special edition today is I thought I was going to do it at the normal time, but I got home last night and my wife says, "Oh, by the way, you got to take me to the airport tomorrow afternoon." So I know we've missed last week and we're going to miss the next 2 weeks. So I thought I better do this, at least doing it early. So that's why I am here at this special time. And there are some people here. We have Chris's Rocketry and More from Golden Valley, Arizona is here, plus some others that haven't said hello in the chat yet. Hint, hint. Yes, go ahead and say hello and where you're watching from so that we can recognize you. I know this is a special edition. There might not be as many people here as normal, but I appreciate everybody that is here. You're the reason that I'm doing this. I did get a question via email, so I'll go over that one. But next week is LDRS. And I'm going to go this year. I haven't been to an LDRS in probably 18, 19 years. I think the last one I went to was in Lethbridge, Canada. That was when my daughter Ashley was just like this tall. And so, yeah, it's been a long time. Speaking of which, my daughter Ashley will be coming home this weekend. She's out of school now. She's just finished her second year in college. And she hasn't gotten her grades back, and she says it was a tough semester, but she's passed, but we don't know how good her grades are. So we'll find that out probably next week. I'm so proud of her. She's doing engineering. She's doing biomedical engineering at the University of North Texas in Denton. So she'll be coming home tomorrow, which is kind of cool. So I can't wait to see that. And then next week, her and I are going to be at LDRS. So if you want to say hello to her, she will be there. She is also a member of the U.S. national team for model rockets. So later this summer, we're going to be going to Serbia for the World Space Modeling Championships. And so I wanted to take her to California so that we could get some practice launches in, trying to get as many flights in as possible. That's, when you're in competition, you got to practice. And so if her fellow teammates are watching this, remember to practice, get those flights in. The more practice you got, the more things you can figure out how you can screw things up so that you can fix them. And so that's what we're going to do. So next week is LDRS, so we'll be on the field Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning, and then we're coming back. Her and I think I mentioned this before, we also got we got contacted by a film production company that wanted to do a documentary on mentoring, and they're calling it Skyward. And it's about model rocketry. And they picked her and I to do the documentary on how I mentor people. Because that's what we do here at Apogee. We mentor people to get them to elevate their game so that they fly higher, faster, and more successful, particularly that more successful part. We want to see people succeed and spread the word around to other people and get more people involved in the hobby. The more people involved, it just benefits everybody. So that's what the Skyward documentary is going to be about. And it's actually going to be in the movie theaters. It's going to be a short, documentary. I think they said 10 minutes long. So they're going to start filming. Actually, they're going to film at LDRS, and they're going to film the following week when we get back. And then that following week also is the National Sport Launch in Alamosa, Colorado. Now that's like right in our backyard. So we got to go to that. So that's why I'm going to miss 2 Fridays in a row, because next week is LDRS, and then the following Friday is the National Sport Launch. And then we should get back to a more regular schedule. So that's what's going on in my world. Let me know what's going on in your world. And if you're watching via replay, you can still put in comments, and we'll answer them here. If you got questions, whatever. So yeah, it's been a busy week trying to get ready to go to LDRS. I still haven't packed my rockets yet. So I got this weekend to do that, to get everything ready. We're just trying to get everything in place because, here at Apogee, we are content creators. We put out a newsletter and a video every week, plus this live stream. And next week is a video. So I've already filmed that video and it's being edited right now. And the next week is a newsletter. And I had to write that one to get that one ahead of time so that while I'm gone, it goes through. So I am like 3 weeks ahead of schedule on all my content creation, and I'm so happy about that. Oh, what else is going on? Anyway, let's get into RockSim because that's what you're here for. I have one question to answer, maybe a couple questions. Let me show you my desktop here. Make sure everything's working. Make sure the microphone is working. Okay, so if you're new to our channel, we do this live stream it's about RockSim Pro, and the launch visualizer. And our web address is apogeerockets.com. And when you come here, you can sign up for that newsletter. Like I said, every week we put out new content, really great content. Plus, you can also get free 50 rocket plans when you subscribe to our newsletter. Plus, so you get a lot of good stuff, good meaty stuff that's worth something. And occasionally we'll send you an email about a new product. We'll do a feature product. But we always try to give you a lot of meat and potatoes in our emails because we don't want to be accused of spamming anybody. And our open rates, I was working with a new company to help us, and he says, our open rates are phenomenal compared to everybody else he deals with. And it's because we put out good content, because we don't want to be known as spamming. So yeah, here we are. Sunday is Mother's Day, and we are offering a free Rocket Mom sticker when you place an order. But since it's Sunday, it's probably not going to arrive in time, but we're going to run this offer through Sunday. So you use the coupon code MOM2025 when you place an order on our website. Add that coupon. If you don't add the coupon, you won't get it. So sorry, it's not going to everybody. It's only going to the people that asked for it. But it doesn't cost anything other than we just throw it in whatever else you're ordering on that order. So this is a banner ad for the launch visualizer, and that's at rocksim.com. And that allows you to do simulations in the cloud. So you do not have to haul out your computer to the field. You can do it on your phone. So you can run simulations. The only caveat is you have to have the rocket designed and uploaded to your account in rocksim.com. Arc Stratus is one of our latest kits. That's what that's about. Here's our newsletter sign up. Here's the RockSim 11. If you click on that, it will take you to where you can order it. Also on this page, I believe you can download a free 30-day demo to try it out yourself. There's tutorials, video tutorials on how to use it. What we're doing here is like the in-depth, deeper into the tutorials section. There's system requirements. Basically, it runs on Windows 11 and all versions of Macintosh after, I don't remember which version. But if you click on system requirements, it'll tell you there. We have a special TARC version. The TARC, I keep calling it TARC, but it's ARC, the American Rocketry Challenge. And the finals are next week. So whoever is out there going to the ARC Challenge, good luck. I wish you well. Can't wait to see the results, but I'll be at LDRS flying rockets there on the West Coast when you guys are going to be on the East Coast. Okay, so that's kind of where RockSim is. Like I said, we're doing RockSim Live. If you go to the homepage of Apogee and you just scroll down a little bit, this link right here gives you to our archives. I need to update them again because, like I said, we're on episode 199 now. So it's been a while since I've updated this page, but this has been all the topics that we've talked about in the past, where you can find them. And one of the questions that we've got is kind of like a repeat, so I think I'll try to answer it. Maybe I can find it here. If you have a question about RockSim, how to use it, go ahead and put it in the chat. That's what we're here for, to answer your questions. So I am looking in the chat, and we have Brian. He says he's here from South Bend, Indiana. I guess that's where Notre Dame is. So welcome, Brian. And then we have Jay, and Jay says, hi, Tim. My first live stream. I've been playing around with RockSim the last few weeks and having fun with it. Well, great. That's what we're here for, to have fun. You know, the best part of learning, or it's easiest to learn when you're having fun. And that's what we try to do with RockSim, is to make it fun to use. Okay, so I told you where to find a demo version of RockSim, where to find the launch visualizer. RockSim Pro is also on our website. You can just type it in the search bar, RS-Pro, if I can spell it right, and you click it on there, and you can see the Pro version. The Pro version is our 6th degree of freedom program, and that's what I'm going to be actually using today, because I got another special treat for you today. I got a new version, a new beta version, demo version from my programmer with some new features in it, and I haven't tried it out yet. And so if there was going to be nobody showing up here and asking questions, well, that's what I was going to do. I was just going to show you how I play with the new features, kind of debug them, try to find the bugs, and, you know, what we can do with these new features. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So my first question came from Carlos, and he says, how do we of a fin made of layers of different materials in RockSim? So the question is, imagine a 3-stage rocket where one fin on each stage uses a polystyrene wrap method to embed an Apple ID tag in the fin. Okay, so let me go back here, and let's see if I'm going to search this page, and I'm doing a Control F on my computer, and it brings up a search window, search bar. If you use this search bar right here, it searches the entire Apogee website. And it's not as exact as searching on a specific page. And if you want to search on a specific page, this is kind of built into your computer. You just do a Command F on a Macintosh or Control F on Windows computers. Brings up this this search tab here, and we can type in ID tag, and it didn't see anything. Let's see if we get Apple. Oh, here we go. How to make a fin with an AirTag. So this question is how to add a fin tag to an AirTag to a rocket. And if you go here to this link and go to 4231. So I'm going to click on it and let's see what happens. Okay, it's going to take us to there, and we got to watch a stupid commercial. Wait for the skip to show up. Here's the skip. Get another logo. So then when you go here to 42 minutes, 31 seconds. So I'm just scrubbing through. And at that point, I probably start talking about, was it 42 or 40? I'm at 40. 42. Somewhere in here, we start talking about AirTags. Anyway, we don't really want to do that. But the easiest way to do something like an AirTag in RockSim. So he's going to, so here I've got a rocket kit called the Mako. The Mako is a kit that we're working on. We're going to release this on May 20th. So not on Tuesday, but the following Tuesday. That's when we release our newsletters. So that this kit will be released at that point. It's a pretty simple rocket. It's 3 inches diameter. It's like 42 inches long. 42 inches long. It's got shark-shaped fins, a 29 millimeter engine mount. But one of the things that people want to do with our rockets is they want to modify them. And so the Mako, what's its claim to fame is that we're going to allow you to make specific modifications that are common. And we're going to have parts kits that you can just, get a Mako kit and then just buy your parts kit and do these modifications. So like it has a 29 millimeter engine mount, and a common mod that people want to do is they want to change it to a 38 millimeter engine mount. So we have a 38 millimeter engine kit that will just slide in there. The Mako, the fins, we actually designed the fins. It's got through the wall tabs. So on a 29 millimeter, you need long tabs to get down, to that skinny motor. And then on the 38, you don't need to go as deep. So we designed the fins with cut lines. So you just snap them off, and then you have the right depth. And then you can just slide in your 38, use the same fins for a 38 millimeter engine mount. So we designed that in. Another mod is doing a cluster. So you can, we'll have a 2-engine cluster kit, which will also be released the same day as the Mako, and a 3-engine cluster kit, which we actually released on Tuesday to get ready to get, try to get all the mod kits out there. So those are 3 common mods. Another mod is adding an eBay and turning it into a dual deployment rocket. So you can do that. And if you if you turn it into a dual deployment rocket, like if you see here on this screen, this is the, so this part right, I know there's a part right there somewhere. There's a parachute. I want to get this part right there. There's a coupler, and you can put in your eBay right in there. Here's your nose cone, but if you notice here, there's not a lot of room for a parachute. So another mod that we have is to put the bulkhead, cut the back end of the nose cone shoulder off, and now you have access to the internal of the nose cone, and you can stuff your parachute in there. But you'll need a new engine block, or not an engine block, a shock cord anchor. And so we have an anchor that will go inside the nose cone. We use that same anchor on our Nike Hercules kit. So we're just making it available for this type of thing where you need more room for a parachute when you add a eBay to a kit like this. That's a short kit. And then there's also another mod you can make just to put an eBay in the nose cone for like simple things like a tracker. You don't want to put a tracker. You want to, you don't need dual deployment every time if you have a tracker. The purpose of a tracker is to find your rocket. Dual deployment is to try to get it to land as close to you as possible. But if you don't care how far away it goes, then you just put a tracker in it and you'll just walk right to it. And most people just put their trackers in the nose cone because there's a lot of room inside the nose cone. So we have an eBay that goes into the nose cone, and it's perfect for like a GPS tracker. So there's several mods that you can do with this kit. And Carlos, in his question, he wants to put an AirTag onto a fin. So he can track his fins, so when a 3-stage rocket starts tumbling down, he knows where all the parts are. The easiest way to do it, the way I would recommend, is just go to your fin set and just add a mass object to the fin. So I'm clicking on the fin, and it doesn't allow me to add a mass object. So then you would add the mass object to the part that's closest to it. So I would add it to the tube right here, click on the tube, come over here to mass object. We're going to add a mass object. And let me see what this AirTag weighs, 11 grams. So this is the database for mass objects. I'm just going to cancel out of that. I'll make this bigger. And we'll just go 11 grams. And then we need to know where to put it. So I'm going to go back to 2D. And so right now our mass object is right there. And I would just slide it back. It's like if he was going to put it in the fins, embed it in the fins, I would put it right there. And that would be in one fin. And I'm done. We've now put a mass object, which is an AirTag, into a fin. Even though it's not in the fin, the reason we want to add a mass object is it affects the center of gravity. And the rocket always spins about the center of gravity, so we want to know where it's going to spin. It's going to move that center of gravity a little bit further back. So that's how I would do it. His second question is, how do you make fins of different materials? Again, the simple way to do it is you open up the fin, and that's what I did here. So right now, this fin is made out of birch. So I would, every component allows you to adjust the mass. So say you had a fin with balsa wood and you laminated it with 2 sheets of thin veneer of something, maybe plywood. So build the fin in real life, then weigh it on a scale. Once you weigh it on a scale, then you can hit this mass override tab and you can type in the new weight. So my current mass right now is 13.72 grams. The full set is 41.173. So if I laminated the fins, what I would do is I would say maybe I weigh it and now it's 60 grams. So I would type in 60. Then you have to put in a CG, and the CG is measured from the tip of the fin where it meets the tube. So let me see how big this fin is. So yeah, I would estimate it like right there where my cursor is the center of gravity. You know, kind of like I'm looking, I don't know exactly where it is, but right there it looks pretty okay. And if I scroll down to here, it's like around 2.9 inches. So I go back to the mass override tab and use that as the center of gravity. So 2.9 inches. And then you have to check this box right here. And then it says the mass override is on. And so now these fins are laminated with whatever veneer that you put on them. It might be paper, it might be cardboard, it might be styrene, it might be thin veneer plywood, whatever it is. That's like the easiest way to do it. I think what he was trying to do is to stack different materials and make a big fin. But that's just too much work. It doesn't affect the aerodynamics, so I wouldn't worry about it. It only affects the mass. And like I said, we want to make sure that that mass, where the center of gravity is located, is correct in our designs. I'm going to cancel out of this, save your changes now. Okay, so that was his other question. Question 2, is the best RockSim method just to weigh the covered fin and make the thickness for that fin correct? I wouldn't worry. What he's saying is he wants to adjust the thickness of the fin to make it like I said, if it was actual in real life 60 grams, one way you could do it is go here to the thickness. But let me zoom in here. And I'll show you what happens when you make it thicker. So 0.25 inches. See, it did change the mass, but it also changed the thickness of the fin. And this will affect the aerodynamics of the rocket because now it's a thicker fin, so it's going to have more drag. So you don't want to do that. You know, when you do laminate the fins, you do want to measure the thickness and put the right thickness in there. But then do the mass override on the fins to make sure you got the mass right. Okay, so that was his question. And that's all of his questions. So hopefully Carlos' questions are now answered. And we don't have any other questions. What the heck is this? I'm going to say delete. I don't need that. Okay, so save your changes? No. All right, so for me, it's playtime since I got no questions. All right, so this is RockSim Pro, and you can tell by looking here at the top. It's RockSim Pro, and I am using under Mac, the About menu is right here, About RockSim Pro. This is 4.2.3 F5. So that is not the current version that everybody else is on. So that's kind of how I know that I'm using a different version. So what the programmers did, that there's two features that they've added. And the first feature that this will now have, there's going to be a new flight event. And the flight event has to do with the fins. And so right now, if I go three-dimensional, come on, wakey, wakey. I really need to get a new computer, but it's going to be a while yet. Like everybody else, we're watching our cash flow. With the tariffs and everything, you know, yeah, prices have gone up everywhere. So, you know, we're like you. All right, now this is so dark. This rocket is so dark black. You can't see what's going on here. Let me go to this tube right here. I'm going to change the color of the tube. Aft body tube. I'm going to open that up. And let's see. I'm still looking at a base view. I want to go to the texture tab. And I want to turn the textures off and hit tab. If I go back to 3D, I should have turned the textures off. I did. So now I have just a solid black tube, and I'll change the color so I can make it see something. And let's make it that color. Come on, didn't change my color. There we go. Still didn't change it. Come on. Change the color. I want a blue. Okay, we got a blue. I changed it and now I changed it again. I was just impatient. All right, I just got to wait for it to catch up. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now this first feature is oh, I'm on the body tube. I'm not. I was like, why is it I can't see this feature? Because it's in the fins, not the body tube. I gotta wait for it to catch up. My computer runs slow because I'm doing live streaming, and I got a lot of things going on, so that's why it runs slow. Yours will run much faster. When I'm not live streaming, it's blazing fast. It's fast enough. Okay, so I'm going to edit the fins. Okay, so here's the fin screen. Okay, so The radial position. If I click on this tab here. All right, so this is the new feature right here. It's called Enable Cant Angle Changes. So imagine your rocket. So in the past, you could change the fin angle in RockSim Pro. You can only do this in RockSim Pro because it's 6 degrees of freedom. You need 6 degrees of freedom if you're going to change the fin cant angle. And you could take your fins and you can cant them over. If I grab this little bar here, you can see now my fins are now canted. Let me zoom in. Slide these over. So you can see that they're canted. So I'm going to start with a 0 cant. And that feature has been in RockSim Pro, so that's not new. But this one here is Enable Fin Cant Angle Changes. So if I click that, and it says this feature will let you adjust the fin cant angle during flight. So they're going to change while the rocket's moving, which we couldn't do before. You'll set up the initial and final cant angle to smoothly transition between them. When enabled, 2 flight events are added. The mid-flight pivot change our time, so you can change it based on the time in the flight, or we can change it based on the altitude in the flight. This allows you to control exactly when the fin cant angle changes. So I'm going to click OK for that. So what happened was now we have an initial angle and a final angle. So I'm going to change my final angle here to 10 degrees. And I want to see what happens. So initially it's going to be 0, but then eventually it's going to turn to 10 degrees, and it will be like that. So what do we expect to happen when this rocket takes off? So when it's at 0 degrees, I expect the rocket to fly nice and stable going straight up. When the fins are canted, I expect the rocket to roll like this. So now that's what I want to see in the flight. So this is me beta testing. So I set it up. I'm going to click OK here. Click OK. Hit Tab. Make sure that these start at 0. Click Tab. OK. I'm going to wait for it to catch up. Okay, now we're back to the main screen, and now we're going to do a simulation. So I'm going to click on there. We need to add a rocket engine. I want something, so I got to decide when I want these things to change. So I want something that has a fairly long burn to it, but not, in the F-class range. So I'm just scrolling down to see it until I see my first F. So here's an F-52. It has a burn time of 1.42 seconds. And I'll give it an ejection delay of 8 seconds. And we'll click OK. Okay, so now under flight events, remember it says there when we do flight events, we should see a new event. So we have the parachute. When is the parachute going to come out? And I'm going to say deploy a maximum ejection delay. So that's 1.42 seconds plus another 8 seconds. So that's 9.42 seconds is when the parachute should come out. And so right now it says the can't change at time after Apogee. I don't want it after Apogee. I can either do time change after ignition. Let's do that. Let's try that. So ignition is at 0 seconds. So I know it's going to burn for 1.42 seconds. So let's make it 1.5 seconds and see what happens. And hit Tab. Our starting state, let's make it a 60-inch, 8 foot. So I'll change this to feet, make it 8 foot. And I want to go straight up. And so when I go straight up, my azimuth angle doesn't really matter. Azimuth is like a compass direction. So north is up here at the top, east is over here, south is over here. So right now it's aimed south, but since we're going straight up, it doesn't matter which angle it is. So that's what the azimuth angle is. Launch conditions. I'm going to choose a launch site. I'll choose this one. It doesn't really matter to me. And am I sure? I thought that launch site was at a different altitude. Yeah, my altitude. It's not. Altitude 700 feet. Wait a minute, what's going on here? What happened? I want that one. Okay, there we go. So now I got that launch site. And now I'm going to hit the flight profile. So what it's going to do, it's going to run the simulation, and then it's going to bring up the launch visualizer. Now the launch visualizer is in RockSim Pro or in the launch visualizer online. Although the online version does not allow this fin-cant angle change. That's only going to be in RockSim Pro. So it's still running its simulations. And it did the results. So it went 1,367 feet. Okay, so here is my little rocket sitting on the launch pad. So I'm going to zoom out first just to kind of get the lay of the land. So it's being launched right next to a road. So here, the rocket's right there sitting on the pad. And it's in the mountains. We can see that we're in the mountains. I love this launch site. It's just being so pretty. I never noticed this road here before. Anyway, but the rocket is down there. Let's zoom back in on our rocket. Yeah, it's like sitting right there in the parking lot, and we're going to launch it, and rocket took off. All right, so I'm looking at this right here. Let me pause it. Actually, stop the animation, and I want to zoom in on the rocket. Okay, so here's our rocket. I'll turn this view off here. And all right, so there's my rocket sitting on the pad. So we set it at 1.5 seconds. It starts to, the fin should cant and it should start to rotate. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to start the simulation again. I'm going to pause it. Okay, let me back up a little bit. I saw something happen. Okay, so when it leaves the pad, you see that the fins just suddenly cocked just a little bit. And so I'm going to investigate why that happened. But after that, it seems to straighten out by itself, and it's not rotating. And so I'm looking at the decal here. Ooh, I lost my rocket. Okay, so I'm looking at the decal on the rocket. And the decal, so now it's starting to rotate. Now see at 1.8 seconds. So I think we had them cant at 1.5 seconds. So here, they're still straight. And now the rocket is rotating like crazy. We can see that by watching the decal and the fins. Now it's a little jumpy because the frame rate is not as fast as we would like. And the reason for that is it just sucks up so much memory that we can't have a super high frame rate. Although in RockSim is calculating it. So it's spinning like crazy now. And at this point, let me zoom out again. Did the parachute? Yeah, so the parachute opened. So the parachute we said should have opened around 9.4 seconds. 9.26, we don't see the parachute. And at 9.6, now we do see the parachute. So it appears that the canting worked. Let me zoom in a little bit more so we can see it. And let's launch it again. Straight. And then all of a sudden it starts spinning, which is what we want to see. So that's good. That's what I expected, and that's what happened. All right, so let's close this. Now let me go back here. I wanted to see why, when it initially came off the pad, it just kind of cocked over, and I think there might have been some wind. So if I go to the wind table, yes, I have wind. I have a 4-mile-an-hour wind. So that wind is as the rocket, is when it's sitting on the pad, the wind can't affect it because it's solid on the pad. But as soon as it leaves the pad, now all of a sudden, wherever wind direction is happening, it's going to, reorient the rocket until it finds that, what would I say, nice continuum. Its optimum angle with the wind coming at it. So just rerunning the simulation again here. I should get the exact same results when it's done because I didn't change anything. And I have a constant wind. I hear here in the comments it says 8 mile an hour, but it's 4 miles an hour. The comments is independent of what you see there. I'll show you where the comments are stored and why I had it turned on. I was doing a different video and I had to turn comments on so I could tell which simulation was what was different about it. Okay, so again, when it first takes off, it reorients itself and it locks in, and then at the right time, it starts spinning. So that is good. So if we run another simulation, then we can change the flight event. Okay, so the comments are right down here on the bottom. See, it says 8 mile an hour wind. I'll change that to 4 mile per hour wind. Unless you erase them completely, there's always going to be a comment. It's kind of persistent. It sticks there. Okay, so this time my fin can't. Let's change it after an altitude. Okay, and then the altitude, let me see, this rocket goes 1,300 feet. Let's say 400 feet. So I got an altimeter inside my rocket that controls when those fins can't. So that's what it's about. And we're going to do the flight profile again. And this time, we're not going to, before we were looking at 1.5 seconds. Now we're going to try to find what altitude we start seeing it spin. So it's running the simulation. And it's thinking about it. Nobody has any comments or questions. Well, and there are people here. Not a lot, but thank you for coming, by the way. I do appreciate you here. And if you're watching on replay, this is just a special time because I have to take my wife to the airport at the regular time. All right, so it's loading the launch visualizer. The launch visualizer is just, if you've never used it before, give it a try. It's so awesome. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at here is this altitude up here. This is how we'll know when we hit 400 feet. So again, we're going to launch the rocket. It reorients itself. Oh, we're past 400 feet, and it's not spinning. Let me pause it. Let's back it up. Okay, 500 feet. It should be spinning right now. And it's not spinning. So when it lifts off, it rotates ever so slightly. Not too much, but it when we get to 400 feet, it's not rotating. And then the parachute deploys and it comes down. So that did not work. So this is why we do beta testing. To see what's going on. Let's make sure that I had it set up correctly. Okay, flight events. Change cant angle after Apogee. We don't want after Apogee. At altitude after ignition. Okay. So changing the fin cant angle after it's coming down under parachute, not really going to do anything, you know, because parachute is so stabilizing. And anyway, you know your rockets, they kind of swing around anyway. So having them cant at that point doesn't really do anything. Unless you're launching and coming over the top and on the way down. Now that might be interesting. We'll try it. So this time I want to do a change in altitude after ignition, 400 feet. Let's do the flight profile. Let's see if it changes this time. Notice this one had the fins spinning, and then the one right below it, the fins didn't spin. And the ones where the fins spun, it actually flew higher. So why does that happen? And the reason for that is the rocket is weathercocking when the fins aren't canted. When the fins are canted, it spins it and the rocket rifles and it goes straighter. So the wind doesn't have as much effect. So instead of arcing over into the wind, it started arcing, but then it straightened out and it just went straight up. We could have looked at the flight profile to confirm that. Let me see what this one looks like. This one is not, again, it's going a little higher. 1387. It's almost exact. It's really close. Let's see. So again, we're going to watch here at 400 feet. See if it starts spinning. There's 400 feet. Okay, and it's spinning. So it's working. Let's pause it. Oops, I wanted to pause it. I wanted to take a look at the trajectory. So I'm going to zoom out. Let me go to this view right here. Okay, so this is kind of, you can't see too much because it's not arcing hardly at all. The pink line right here is the trajectory line. And the yellow lines are, we call them, what's it called? Extruded flight path. So we're extruding a line straight down from the point in the sky back down to the ground. And that kind of allows you to see, the ground track. Kind of gives you a 3D effect of this rocket launch. But this one goes so straight up. Like right now we're at Apogee, and when the rocket launched, it started at this pink line. So north is down at the bottom, south is straight ahead. So when it launched, it went kind of southwest a little bit, and now it's starting to come back around because I think we have wind coming out of the west. So it's coming out this way, and then eventually this line is going west. So that's the trajectory. It's going pretty straight, so there's not a lot to see. But at 400 feet, let me go to a different view here, this view. I'm going to back it up to 400 feet. So I'm watching altitude up here at the top. I'm just moving the slider bar until it comes back down to 400 feet. I can see it's spinning at this point. 400 feet is about 10 seconds into the flight, somewhere between 8 and 10, 8.4. Yeah. Or what did I say? If I put my cursor here and I use the arrows on my keyboard, so 383 feet at 1.61 seconds and 448 at 1.8. So around 1.7 seconds is kind of where it flipped. So previously when we ran it, we did it at 1.5 seconds. So it was just kind of random that we got it, pretty close to where we were before. So that's why our altitudes are very similar. All right, let's run another simulation. We're going to change those events again. Go into flight events. We could have them deploy at Apogee. That doesn't really matter. Can't time change after Apogee. Can't change at altitude after Apogee. So let's run our rocket so it comes screaming down. Let's do that. So this is altitude after Apogee, and let's make it 400 feet. Now I want it this time. I want no deployment on the parachute. So I'm going to come here to the ejection delay, or I should have done it under flight events. Let me go back to flight events, and I'll have the parachute no event. So basically the parachute's not going to come out. So when we launch it this time, what I expect the rocket to do to go up straight without spinning, and then on the way down, it should arc over, come screaming down as it's picking up speed. When it hits 400 feet in the air, then I want those fins to cant, and then it should start spinning and smuck into the ground pretty fast. So you got to kind of think ahead when you're running your simulations, when you're setting them up. My newsletter that's going to come out not this Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, May the 20th, it talks about that very thing, how you set up using electronics in your rocket. And when you're using electronics in the rocket, the electronics control the events. But in RockSim, we don't have a way to control the electronics, so we can only control, things based on altitude or time, which is what the altimeter is going to do anyway. All right, so I'm kind of peeking back here. The rocket went 1,361 feet, and if I look at the icon over here, that's the crash icon. So it did crash into the ground. And our flight time is only just about 50 seconds. So let's launch it. The rocket takes off. The fins are not spinning. So we expect it to go 1,300 feet. It should arc over. The parachute should not come out. Okay, so it's kind of tail sliding. It's flipping over now. We're at about 1,000 feet. This rocket is kind of, it's not going to go arcing into the ground because it wants to glide, and it actually is gliding right now. But at 400 feet, let's see what happens. Okay, so we're past 400 feet. Anything change? Yeah, we can see it rotating. Something's happening. And then it's going to hit the ground, and let's pause it right there when it hits the ground. Yep, let's go back. Okay, so now it's on the ground. Let's zoom out and see what this trajectory looks like. So, whoa, look at that. That's kind of a cool trajectory here. Let me zoom in just a little bit. So I'm looking at this line right here. So the rocket, it went up to this point right here. Here's our apogee point. Let's see if I can get a different view of it. Not really. And then it kind of, hit its apogee, and then it kind of just started backsliding. And then it kind of flattened out, and it was backsliding. And it backslid all the way down to here. Now let's see where 400 feet is. Okay, so if you notice this line, it's kind of wiggly. It's kind of like doing one of these things, like a wave. But as soon as the fins start, as soon as they cant over, it's no longer following that wave, and this line is a lot straighter, as you can see. So it's wiggly here, and then it straightens out. So basically what's happening is it's dampening out those wiggles when it's spinning. Okay, so let's try a different simulation. Let's see if we can. This time we'll instead of launching straight up, where it's going to come backsliding down, let's launch it at an angle so that it doesn't have a chance to backslide. So under starting state, I'm going to change the launch angle from vertical. I don't want to go too far, like 10.25 degrees. And it's launching, let's make it 180. So it's launched to the south. And so I'm not changing anything else here under the flight events. So we still expect it at 400 feet coming over the top to start rotating when the fins cant over. This will, maybe we got time. I don't have to be at the airport for a while. That's why I did it early, just in case this went long. I don't think I'm going to get to the other feature of RockSim Pro that we're working on. But at least you're seeing the fin new flight event, which is really cool, because if this works, and I think it is, it's going to allow for some really interesting rockets. Of course, in real life, like I said, in order to cant your fins, you're going to need some kind of servo inside the rocket to adjust the cant angle. Okay, so let's launch this. Okay, so now this one stays in the air 19 seconds. So before we were about 50 seconds. So changing just the launch angle has some very drastic effects on it. So it's arcing over. We don't want it to backslide. We want it to go nose first, and it's going nose first. That's good, that's good. Okay, so now it's not spinning. So I'm watching this number here at 400. Okay, so now it's starting. It just smucked into the ground too fast. Okay, so when it gets to 400 feet, it's just screaming. And it doesn't have a chance to rotate very far because it's just coming in so fast. All right, let's go all the way to the end. And can we look at this trajectory and see if we can discern anything new? Not really. So it's launching this way, it comes over the top, and it's picking up speed, and then somewhere at 400 feet, and I don't know how far 400 feet is. Let me back it up here. 203. Okay, so right about here, it's starting. Yeah, so right here at 17.57 seconds, it's at 440, and if I go one tick mark over, that's 18.07 seconds, and now we're at 342. So it's like it lost 100 feet in, less than a half of a second. So it's screaming into the ground. If I go here, I can see my velocity is at 131 miles an hour as it's coming screaming down to the ground. This absolute velocity includes the rotation of the Earth because it's also rotating because the Earth is rotating. So you always have to look at that relative velocity or the air velocity. Relative velocity. You used to be able to hover over those and find out what they were. Anyway, so that was cool. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to see under fin cant? So this is a new flight event. So under flight events, there's three kinds of flight events. There's parachute ejection, which is like staging. And then there's parachute deployment or streamer deployment, a recovery system. And now we're going to have this new one, which is fin canting. So now you can do another feature in your rocket. And that's under flight events. So we can have a no event. So basically the fin doesn't cant at all. Time after ignition, altitude after apogee, altitude after ignition. I think these two should swap places. We should have all the times together and all the altitudes together. So I'll have the programmer change those things. Thinking out loud here. So that's cool. All right, so yeah, we've gone an hour. I have no more questions. Like I said, we're going to skip 2 more weeks, and then we'll be back, and hopefully we'll be back at the correct time so that more people can join us that are that normally join at that time. This is kind of an odd time. Most people are working. But those of you who are here, I appreciate it. Those that are watching on a replay, thank you very much. Even though it says right now I got 7 people watching, there's actually going to be hundreds of people that watch this. So all of you out there, thank you. Especially you. Anyway, so thanks again for being here. And we got the Mako rocket kit, which is over here, coming out on May 20th. I talked about that. We've got the Arc Stratus that was released a few weeks ago. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that's in the works. So, we're not sleeping here. we're very busy. And, we do it for you. So if you want something new, let us know. All right. People are saying thanks. Again, I appreciate it. So let me give you a countdown and we'll get out of here. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go out and launch something.